We're back, baby. This is my 59 Viking. I've had a lot of people ask me recently, where is the 59 Viking built? And well, it's right here behind me and it has been here the whole time. I've just been working on other stuff here and there. So I'm gonna give you an update on what I've been doing. I've been working away on this for the last couple weeks, kind of off camera. So I'm gonna show you what we're working with. I'll give you an update where we're at up until this point for anybody new here. And I'll show you what I've been working on. So for those that aren't familiar with this truck, this is a 1959 Viking 40. It's a 40 series grain truck. So it was just basically a cab and chassis with a grain box. I pulled the cab and the front end off, pretty much scrapped the rest. So this is what we're working with. It's on a 2003 Dodge 2500 chassis. It's obviously got the 5.9. It's got a 48 RE automatic in it. And that's pretty much where we're at. I built custom cab mounts to mount this cab onto this frame. I do have some of the rad support built to mount the front end. I took this all back apart last fall to clean it all up, pressure wash it, all that, so I can work with it a little bit better. So now I'm putting it back together, but a little bit better to the point where I can hopefully even get this thing to run before I strip it all back down again to clean it up and do the final install of everything. So one thing about this, I mounted the cab high enough that I can actually still retain the original transmission hump. As you can see right up here, I did cut a little bit out of this because I thought the cab was going to sit lower. But then once I kind of had the front end mounted, I realized that for the engine to sit in the right spot and to clear the floor where the transmission is and the downpipe and all that, I had to raise it back up. If you remember last time, I had these square tubing braces that pretty much ran from this cab mount to the next one back. And then it comes across the back for a rear cross member. It was sitting down on this. Since then, I've added 1.5 inches that is to the front to give me that extra lift. And then when we come around to the back here, you can see that rear cross member that I talked about. And again, I had this further back and the cab was actually sitting directly on this cross member before. I changed that now. I added that extra inch of lift that I needed in the back, as you can see right there. And then basically move this cross member ahead so we can have these nice mounts, something that I can get a bolt and a nut in real easily. In doing so, I did have to notch this cross member because the balancer on that yoke is so big. That was not a huge deal. So I have the cab mounts exactly how I want now. Like you can see, the cab is bolted directly down. It's tight, it's not moving. And I'm really happy with how those turned out. Now coming inside the cab, if you're familiar with these late 50s Chevy trucks, you'll know the steering column is not correct. Now the original steering column, it did have this mount. This mount has been modified. This mount was up here. Then you had a steering column that ran directly down into that hole that is now patched. So it was very much more standing straight up. This is a steering column out of a 70s GM van. It's basically the same column that would be in a 67 to 72 half ton, except that this one has tilt, which was very rare in the trucks, much more common in the vans. Reason being, wanted a tilt column, needed to be automatic for the 48 RE, and my key is still in the ignition. It is not in the column. That's the one thing that made me choose this steering column. So like I said, we modified this bracket, moved it back, and it's now attached to the brake pedal bracket, which the brake pedal was out of a 80s Chevy square body truck. This one's actually out of a Suburban, but same thing. Modified that upper bracket to make it work as a brace between the firewall and the dash. Hung the brake pedal down. The pin on the brake pedal actually matches the size of the hole on the Hydro Boost push rod. So that actually ended up working out quite well. This plate is here to basically bring that lower level of the firewall out to match the level of this rib here. So once this is all done, it'll all get filled in and you won't even know that there was a low spot here. Basically, it was just to kind of bring the height up so I could mount this Hydro Boost on a flat surface. Then down here, to mount the bottom of the column, this is a 67 to 72 Chevy truck, lower steering column mount and clamp. This was modified a little bit, as you can see, to match the contour of the firewall. Not a big deal there. Then the real difficult part I've been having, that I just got figured out, is this bottom seal. So I originally was actually going to use a 67 to 72, again, grommet, which would go, well, in those trucks, it actually goes this way. However, I was going to go this way. And it just didn't work with the angle that this firewall is at, where the column goes through. And then there was the fact of, to put this grommet on this steering column, you have to completely disassemble the steering column in order to slide that over, because you have this shift lever right here. You can't slide the grommet on because the shift lever's here. So you seriously need to disassemble the entire column to get that out. And I was not interested in doing that. So we are using the grommet, if you want to call it, that came out of the van. So it has this angle built into it, which was very close to this firewall. I did modify it a little bit. And basically what you can see, I slide this up out of the way. I built this plate, and basically it welds into my firewall, and it pretty much just mimics the van firewall to give me a flat surface to bolt this to. So basically this will be fully welded and seam sealed into my cab. Then this slides down over top. Bit of a tight fit, but once it slides down there, and then you have all your bolts in there, it's a nice tight fit. It doesn't stick out much, so I think it'll work pretty well. Once you have carpet up in here, carpet will tuck underneath this. You won't even be able to tell that that's not supposed to be there. So that's what I've been working on. That took way more time than I'd like to admit, but that's just the way things go with custom fabrication. So now, as of lately, with my steering column 100% mounted solid with the top and the bottom mounts here, I've been trying to figure out a steering shaft. I originally had a steering shaft out of a 67 to 72 that fits over here, and then I had the Dodge one, and the two just weren't really going to work together because there was no collapsible section to it. So then if I wanted to add a collapsible section, you're getting into two welds in the steering shaft, which I didn't really love that idea. So I found that you can run a mid 90s or early 90s Jeep Cherokee steering shaft, and that has the same spline count as this. So we're gonna order one of those up. It has a collapsible section in it, so I can pretty much use that section of shaft from here all the way to about here. Then I'll just weld on the U-joint that adapts to the Dodge box. That should be good. Then, being that this is all so close here, I had to delete the factory fuel filter housing, which sat right here. And we also deleted the factory transmission cooler on the Dodge. They're prone to failure. I wasn't going to run it anyway, so that's all gone. Made a ton of room over here. I will be running some sort of a lift pump on here, so that's why I can delete the fuel filter housing. But it just gives me a whole lot more room, and I can run that steering shaft. So the next things that I will be working on, I'll show these in a later video. I somehow need to adapt this cable shift this cable shift transmission shifter to work with a linkage style column shift. There are adapter kits online. I'm probably gonna end up trying to make my own, but that's going to be next, as well, once the steering shaft comes in, I can do that. And then the other thing is I need to mount the accelerator pedal. So now that I've got a brake pedal placement, and I know that I'm keeping the stock hump, I can kind of get an idea of where this accelerator pedal needs to go. It'll need to be some kind of a custom cable setup to get to the engine because it is a longer distance for some reason, but we will have to make that work. But yeah, that'll be something next. Then the other thing is I want to mount the factory Dodge parking brake pedal somewhere along this side. I think these ducts get deleted because I'm going to be doing an aftermarket air conditioning system. So I think I can delete these vents and then just put the pedal right here. So that's where we're at on this thing. As always, if you want to follow along on the build, be sure to subscribe and be sure to like this video so it keeps showing up in your feed. If you want to see more on it, I have a bit of a series going on the channel there, 15, 16 videos, whatever it is from last year. If you want to get up to speed on this, a little more detail on everything that I've done, be sure to check that out. Comment down below if you're excited for this thing or if you have any suggestions. And with all that being said, see you guys in the next one.